negative 6x squared minus 24x minus 24.
Perfect example.
For many, many, many reasons, it's a perfect example. Thank you. Okay. So this is, I have to ask myself, what is it? And the answer is a trinomial. Is it in descending order? Yes. Greatest common factor? Yes. Negative leading coefficient? Yes. What do I factor out?
Negative 1.
What is left in parentheses?
X squared plus 4x plus 1.
Very good. So after I asked myself what type of polynomial I'm looking at, and I pulled out the greatest common factor and a negative leading coefficient, I reached the stage in which I'm asking myself, can I use a special product? And we reviewed both special products for trinomials on Tuesday. That's it. There's nothing else. Just 2 special products for trinomials. 4 special products for binomials, but only 2 special products for trinomials. Okay, so what do I have to check here is this. I'm checking the first term. What do I square to get x squared? I'm checking the last term. What do I square to get 4?
2.
So I expect to have as answer x plus 2 everything squared. This is my expectation, but I don't know if I'm right. I only looked at the first term and the last term, and I made an assessment out of the blue that these 3 terms should be this binomial squared. I have to check the middle term now. When I expand this, 2, remember from Tuesday, that tune that I sang for you, 2 times the first times the second, how much is that? 4x. Do I have 4x here? If I do, I'll say check. If I don't have 4x here, I have to erase this. It's incorrect. Do I have 4x there? Since I have 4x, I will say this is it. So it's not sufficient to look at the first term and the last term and say that's it and move on. No. I have to check the middle term. This is what we wrote on Tuesday. We said that the binomial squared has 3 terms. First term squared plus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared. Very good example. Let's choose another. Not from the cell phone though. I see it. Okay, let's choose another.
4x to the second plus 4x plus 1.
Perfect. What type of polynomial is it?
Trinomial.
It's a trinomial. Is it in descending order?
Yes.
Yes.
Greatest common factor?
Yes.
There is no greatest common factor in all 3. Negative leading coefficient? No. Very good. So now my question is, special product. I always hope for a special product. Why? Because it goes like this. Otherwise, the work is so much more. So, special product, okay. I look at the first term. Is that a perfect square?
Yes.
What?
2x.
Awesome. I look at the last one. Is that a perfect square? Good. So I assume that this is 2x plus 1 squared. But I'm not certain. I have to think of the third term, which is the middle term. What is the middle term of this expansion? Exactly. 2 times the first times the second. What is that? How much?
4.
No, 4 is, it cannot be. 4x. Do I have 4x there? Then I will say yes. Very good. Let's go to the second page. Yes.
How did you get 4x?
Remember what I said on Tuesday?
2
2
times
times
the
first.
first and second.
Okay. I will.
For that part.
Right. So that's what I said on Tuesday. But I hope that this is not going to happen throughout the entire semester. We should understand it now. So the first term squared is 4x squared plus 2 times the first times the second is 4x plus the second term squared is 1.
So you just check it with the first term, with the 2 times first term times second.
I'm checking the middle term.
That's what I mean, you're checking it.
But the question was, how do we get the 4x? Right? So I wanted to expand this by binomial squared, expand it and show the entire answer. So I get this from the first term. I get this from the last term. But this is not sufficient. What if I had 3? What if I had 3x? Will the left-hand side equal the right-hand side? That's why I have to check the middle term. It's not sufficient to look at the first and the last. I still, at the end, have to check the middle term to make sure. So here's an example. What if I'm asking you to factor out this? Would you write 2x plus 1 squared and move on to the next problem? It will be a mistake. So I did get 2x from the first term. I did get 1 from the last term. But the middle term here is 4x, 2 times the first times the second, 4x, but this is not 4x. Because that is not 4x, I'll have to say, nope. The left-hand side does not equal the right-hand side. Does it make sense?
Yeah, but so in this case, then what would you do?
It's not factorable. Good. So let's choose another and finish it up. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so let's look at another, please.
D,
Another trinomial.
81A to the second plus 54A plus 9.
81,
A to the second
yes.
plus 54A plus 9.
Good. Okay, I was hoping that you will turn the page and move on to the next type, but so we can look at all different types. Can I just see for a second?
Is it 9 or 8? 9.
Yes, so I was hoping, so I thought we already finished that special products. I would like to see something from the bottom and something from the top.
Okay.
So we can cover, but since I wrote it, let's finish it. Okay, it's a trinomial descending order, yes. Negative leading coefficient, no. Greatest common factor,
Yes.
yes. So what do I factor out? Very good. I have to do that. What is left in parentheses?
90 squared plus 60 plus 60.
Very good. So now I'm looking inside and I'm hoping for a special product. If it is a special product, if it is, I have no idea, what would you expect it to be?
3a plus 1 squared.
What would be the middle term for this expansion? When you expand 3a plus 1 squared, what would be the middle term?
6a.
Good. Do I have 6a here?
Yes.
So that is very clear then. This must be the factored form. Good. I would like the bottom part and the top on the next page. I like one example from the bottom and one example from the top.
5mn
5mn
plus m squared
plus m squared
minus 150n squared.
minus 150n squared. Very good. On the previous page at the bottom. Previous page at the bottom. Very good. So I'm asking myself, what is it? And the answer is a trinomial. Is it in descending order? No. It's not in descending order. We normally use the order mn. So I will have to move m squared in front, m squared plus 5mn minus 150n squared. That will be my first step. M squared plus 5mn minus 150n squared. Good. Then I continue with the same strategy, right? I asked my questions, but now I'm at the special product. Is this a special product? What do I square to get this? Good. What do I square to get this? Nothing. There is nothing that I can square to get that. So the special product is done. I have to move on to the next level. The next level is 1 as a leading coefficient. So if I may show you here. I meant the other one, the other document. Okay, so it's not that way, it's the other way. Yes. If you have a question, somebody have a question? There's a question? Okay. So here it is. So this doesn't work, now I'm here. Because the leading coefficient is 1, I'm going to attempt this strategy. If the leading coefficient is not 1, then I have to attempt this strategy. But when I'm still here, with the leading coefficient being 1. Okay, ready? Okay, so when the leading coefficient is 1, I'm going to try to find two numbers whose product is this number, product, negative 150, and the same two numbers whose sum is this. The sum is positive 5. So now the question is, can I find two numbers whose product is negative 150 and whose sum is 5? Don't say anything just yet. First, I have to look at the product, and I see the product is negative. Obviously, I'm looking for a positive and a negative, for sure, because the product is negative. So knowing that, I will put my sign so I don't forget. One must be positive and one must be negative because the product is negative. And now I'm trying to find two numbers whose product is 150 and whose sum is 5. Negative 150 and whose sum is 5. One is positive and one is negative. Yes. Which one is negative? Which one is positive?
It's negative 10.
Very good. Perfect. So let's try. 150 multiplied by negative 10 is negative 150. Yes, it is. 115 minus 10 is 5. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
So both conditions are fulfilled. And now I'm done. I have the factored form. Can anyone give us the factored form?
I was trying to confuse any M and N.
You will not be confused. Just give it a shot. I'll help you.
Would it be like MN plus 15 and MN plus
But there is no MNs. So the
Oh, okay.
only.
So it would be M plus 15.
We'll check in a minute. And what is the other one?
M minus 10. M.
Good. So let's check. It takes 10 seconds or less. M times M, M squared. Negative 10 mn, but positive 15 mn, which is 5 mn. 15 times negative 10, n squared. Is that clear?
But what happens to the M? You multiply 15 times the negative 10 to get
Okay, let's multiply. Let's write it. M times M, M squared. M times negative 10m. 15m, n times m. And negative 150 n squared.
You're doing some cursive stuff, so it looks like your M's are M's.
So this is the m. And this is the n. So m squared, 15mn minus 10mn is 5mn, and negative 150 n squared. Is that okay?
Yeah, I thought the thing next to the 15 was an N, but it's an M, so now it makes sense.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Good. Other questions? Let's look at one on the back. I highly recommend work on all these problems as soon as you can. Just make sure that, very easy, you don't need me to tell you whether you're correct or not. Just multiply them and check the answer. If you don't come up with the correct answer, then just bring them on Tuesday and we'll work on those together. Okay, from the very top.
5x to the second.
So any questions here? Any questions? Go ahead. Any questions here? Any questions? Okay, let's do that. Is this better?
Yes.
Perfect. Sorry, my m's and n's are close. Sorry, forgive me. I'm ready.
5x to the second minus 26x plus 5.
Very good. We're going to the strategy again. All steps. The first question is, what type it is? And the answer is trinomial. Yes. Is it in descending order? Yes. Greatest common factor? No. Negative leading coefficient? No. Special product? I hope for a special product. No. Because there is no perfect square. This is not a perfect square. This is not a perfect square. The second one before the last. Is 1 the leading coefficient? No. I'm down to the last resource. Last way. Last possible method. Okay, here it is. What did we do? What was the product in the previous case when the leading coefficient was 1? What would have been? If the leading coefficient were 1, you would have said the product would be? Exactly. However, because the leading coefficient is not 5, the product now is this, 25. The sum does not change from before. Can anyone tell us what is the sum of the numbers I'm looking for? It has to be taken with a sign in front. Good, very good. So this is the only difference from the previous case. However, this is a longer procedure than the previous case. This is not done by any means. So when the leading coefficient is not 1, I have to incorporate it with a free term. So the product is 25. The sum never changes, negative 26. Since the product is positive, both numbers have to have the same sign. Either both positive or both negative. Otherwise, I cannot get a positive product. But since their sum is negative, I know exactly what sign they have. They must be negative, both of them. Very good. One more time. The product is positive. Both numbers have to have the same sign. But because their sum is negative, they must be negative. There is no other way. Good. Can we find two numbers, both negative, whose product is 25 and whose sum is negative 26?
-1 and -25.
There is nothing else. Both conditions are fulfilled. Thank you very much. -1 times -25 is 25. -1 minus 25 is negative 26. Both conditions are fulfilled. However, there is an intermediate step here which we did not have before. Here's the intermediate step. I will have to change the expression using these two numbers. Here's how. 5x squared minus x minus 25x plus 5. And you can say, wait a minute, you changed the problem. No, I didn't. I only replaced negative 26x using the numbers you gave me. -1 and negative 25. -1 minus 25 is still negative 26. At this point, I will use factoring by grouping. So factor by grouping. Please tell me, what will you factor out from the first two terms? X. Of course. What is left in parentheses? Very good. What do we have to have coming out from the other two before I even look? Of course, because this will be eventually the common factor that will come out in a minute. But remember, I cannot just fabricate this. It has to be there. So now I need a sign and a factor. So now I can look. I need a sign and I need a factor. -5. Let's check. -5 times 5x is this. -5 times -1 is that. And now I can finish it and say what? 5x minus 1 is the common factor. And from the first term I have x. From the last term I have -5. If you were taught a different method, use your method. I'm fine with it. The easiest polynomial to factor is the polynomial with 4 terms. So let's choose one more from 4 terms. And please work on all those problems. Any polynomial, please, in the next section.
X plus 2y in parentheses. X minus 1 in parentheses. Plus, in parentheses, x plus 2y. And then parentheses, x minus 2 equals.
Good. This is a simpler situation because the groundwork is done for us. How many terms do I see here?
4.
Terms.
3.
Terms. Exactly 2. This is one product or one term plus one product or one term. So there are 2 terms. Now they do have a common factor that I would like to pull out, which is x plus 2y. And now, what is left from the first factor? Plus, what is left from the second factor? Awesome. So then I have x plus 2y, and I have to combine like terms. And after you combine like terms inside, what will you get?
X squared minus 3.
When I add apples, yes, 2x.
Minus 2.
Very good, this is it. I would like one more from polynomials, but not the ones that are already arranged for us. One more. Something with x cubed, blah, 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 blah. If anyone can give me one, or I can find it.
X cubed
Yes?
plus 2x squared minus x minus 2.
Very good. So I go through the entire strategy from the very beginning. I'm asking myself, what polynomial is this? Binomial, trinomial, or polynomial? Well, it's 4 terms, it's a polynomial. I'm asking myself, is it in descending order? Greatest common factor in all 4.
Nothing.
Negative leading coefficient. What is the only method for 4 terms? Group. Very good. Factoring by grouping. Awesome. So I don't look at the last 2, and I'm only looking at the first 2 and asking myself, what do they have in common? X squared. Good. So let's pull out x squared. What is left in parentheses? What do you expect the other 2 terms to have in parentheses? Mandatory, otherwise I can continue. I shouldn't say that because sometimes you may have to group the first with the third and the second with the fourth. Or you may have to group the first with the last and the middle 2 together. So I would have to rearrange and look at other options. But if this is the way to factor it, what do I have in parentheses?
X plus 2.
I have to have x plus 2. I write it first only because I may make a mistake and write x minus 2 and try to figure out what it is. So that would be an error. So I need a sign and a factor. What is the common factor?
X plus 2.
What is left in parentheses?
X squared minus 1.
But now I know this is a binomial and it's further factorable. I have to factor it. How do I factor x squared minus 1?
X plus 1, X minus 2.
Correct. So this is x plus 2, x plus 1, x minus 1. Very good. Questions? Can I consider factoring done and we can move on to the second method? It's a lot of work. You need to refresh your memory. It's a good skill to have. So please finish up this document and ask me any questions next time. Ready? So the second method is taking square roots. A very nice method. Quite easy, I would say. Nothing is easy. I shouldn't say easy ever. So it's a nice method. So taking square roots. So here's a quadratic equation. Can anyone tell us what is the degree of this polynomial? 2. The degree is 2. How many solutions do you expect to get? Exactly 2. So because the left-hand side is already a perfect square and the right-hand side is only a number, so this is a typical situation, I'm allowed to take the square root. The correct answer, and we are going to get to this type of equation, but the correct answer should be the absolute value of x equals,
Plus or minus 2.
careful, the square root of 4 is 2. That's the reason why I showed the intermediate step. We normally skip this one. So then this equation has 2 options. I don't want you to ever think that the square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. That is incorrect. So the plus or minus do not come from the right-hand side, but they come from the absolute value. We normally omit this step, and we directly come up with right plus or minus 2. I wrote this step once, just one time, for you to understand that plus or minus symbols do not come from this. They come from this. And now we can work on that problem that I wrote at the beginning. Where is my problem? What was that? X plus 1 squared equals something. So x plus 1 squared equals, let's say, 16. Is this equation set up for taking square roots? Because if it's not set up for taking square roots, I will not use the method. And the answer is yes. I have an expression with x squared and one single number on the right-hand side. So then yes, I can take square roots. And from here, what will I write? The left-hand side is x plus 1, and the right-hand side, I have to remember this is crucial. If I say 4, I don't know what I'm doing.
Square root of 16.
No.
The absolute value.
You're right, but it should have been here, not on this side. So the crucial step is, if I do not put plus or minus on the other side, although I know the square root of 16 is not plus or minus, the plus or minus come from this side. If I don't put plus or minus, then I will miss one solution.
But you don't have to write the.
No,
About the
you don't have to
absolute
write the
value.
absolute value anymore.
Okay.
I was just explaining that step that we omit, only because I don't want you to think that the square root of 16 is plus or minus 4. That would be incorrect. So then I have to move 1, so x equals -1 plus or minus 4. I must separate the solutions. How much is -1 minus 4? How much is -1 plus 4? Any questions?